Okay, yeah, let's get that on record. Is that a fair statement to make?
Welcome to friendships.
What's your question?
So saying to a buyer who's reluctant because he doesn't want to, for instance, make one now, they want to see what the market does. They have a belief that the prices in the market is going to go down. And then I believe I have heard the idea that when the prices in the market go down, the interest rate is most likely going to go up and kind of counteract whatever effect that price difference has. Is that an informed thing to say, or am I about to get myself into trouble?
I
No, I think that's
don't
correct.
know that I would agree with that necessarily.
Okay.
With consumer confidence in the market causing if interest rates go up. So explain.
So the idea is, a buyer only has so much cash to spend. Let's say they have $350,000 to spend, and so their idea is, they want to get a $350,000 house at 4% interest, for instance, but they want to see if they can get that same house for like $335,000 or something, and then, but the idea is with that reduction in price, that's offset by interest rates going higher, and so their buying power is in fact still, ultimately, over the course of the loan, they're still paying $350,000 no matter what they do.
This is just my opinion, I think you're talking about first-time home buyers. Okay? Because I think that anybody that has purchased a home before is not going to be pressured into a timeline to buy because they are the ones that are going to be a little more savvy with prices of homes and what interest rates mean to them. And if they're not your first-time home buyers, I have found don't really care what the interest rates are. They're going to buy. And
Because they probably won't live there for the full term anyway. And the interest so far is tax deductible.
And until they actually get in front of us and sit with a computer, they don't know what little difference or major difference there could be in interest rate between 3.5 and 3.65.
Gotcha.
It is more a struggle of people having money for a down payment, or the biggest struggle we see is credit. Because people are negligent with their credit. And it's more, we're having to counsel more than before.
Gotcha.
Are you seeing buyers that are coming out of that foreclosure market that are hoping to buy, but they have the foreclosure or the short sale in their history that's creating issues? Or is that still that going on?
No, I don't think so.
Either that isn't affecting their buying ability, or they're just not.
There's a fewer and far between now. It seems like the majority of people that had foreclosures, in my opinion, in the past, we've reached that 3 or 4 or 5 years now.
Okay.
So that's not a struggle.
So is that idea that, say they lost their house in 2008, it only, things like that only stay on the credit report for 7 years? Is my uninformed understanding?
Major things can stay on the credit report for 10 years.
For 10 years, okay.
Okay. Bankruptcies, foreclosures, it depends. It can bounce back and forth between 7 and 10 years.
Oh,
Short sales, on a short sale, the biggest impact with being able to do another loan within a certain period of time is if they had any late payments before they went to a short sale. That's the key.
Really? Wait a minute. Why wouldn't they have late payments if they couldn't make their payments? And that created a short sale.
Some days we are able to do something if they do not have late payments.
How could you have a short sale and not have a late payment?
Because they just kept making the payments.
He's been there 3 years for free, so he's got a few late payments.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what arrangement he had living there for free.
And I tell you that housing has come through with a couple loans for us lately that have two of them be mine, where they are doing exceptions. They don't follow Fannie Mae rules. And so, for instance, as I had a person who had a mortgage late in the last 12 months, she wanted to close right now. And normally you have to wait until that mortgage rate is older than, over 12 months. She didn't want to close in September, she wanted to close in August. So we got an exception with Alaska Housing to close that ahead of time. So a lot of times I'm steering a little more towards Alaska Housing on some of the guidelines like that. And we're giving exceptions with mortgage insurance because, you okay to keep talking?
Oh, please.
Not only do we have, say, Fannie Mae guidelines that we have to comply with, we also have the investor, the overlay of, say, Wells Fargo. Okay, so Fannie Mae, then Wells Fargo. And then if we have Alaska Housing, all of them have different, requirements. Okay? And mortgage insurance. So when you need mortgage insurance, they actually underwrite a file too. So they will look at income, they'll look at the property, they'll look at debt ratios. They look at the file too. So we may have, come over one hurdle of getting an approval, like one with Alaska Housing, less than 12 months old. But now we had to go to mortgage insurance companies. It's, it's not just this step anymore. Mortgage insurance companies are as important. If we can't get mortgage insurance for them, it doesn't matter if Alaska Housing says listen to. So we were actually able to get an exception with mortgage insurance on this particular file. So we granted an exception.
So she closed 1 month earlier than when she normally would have been able to? Would she have been able to close 6 months earlier?
Probably not. The reason is that she had, she had 3 30-day late. And it was negligence, whoever was paying the bill, we had to get letters from the banker and her accountant, and, it was very confusing. But the only reason I'm bringing that up is that structuring that loan from the very beginning may take a little bit longer than, just a real easy squeezy deal, but it's perseverance. I think the originator to do a lot of that homework up front, such as contacting the mortgage insurance company, because Alaska Housing is going to come back and say, well, okay, if we give you this exception, are you going to be able to get mortgage insurance? So we have to just do a lot more work up front.
Gosh.
So Alaska Housing is a acceptable way to go right now. To do an Alaska Housing loan, if it's a single family house, that if the house was built before 1992, after 1992, there has to be an energy rating done on the house. So we have to have that lease certificate. If there isn't one, we can't go Alaska Housing, or option number 2 is they can go in and pay for one to be done, and it has to be recorded.
How much does that cost?
Let me see, comes up, good reading. I really don't know.
Having the energy rating done, or
They
the,
go in and have the bees test done,
Yeah.
and it needs to be a 4-star plus.
uh-huh.
And then once we have that, then Alaska Housing will do the loan. If it's built before 92, they don't care.
I think that
So that's
when
what
we
we're-
had the rating done, and it was $350 just to have it done.
Who does that?
Alaska Housing comes in and does.
Oh,
Yeah,
Alaska
they-
Housing contact
They
them.
kind of work it
They have
the way we work an
inspectors.
appraiser, they just, yeah.
Wow.
So they'll never discount Alaska Housing, even more so right now because other guidelines are so tight.
So let's do real estate for dummies, since we're still here, nobody's allowed.
I've got something to talk about if you want to save it.
Go for it. No, go for it.
Just what you and I had talked about this morning with the overall theme that I took out of the panel this morning.
I did want to, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, let's go
yes.
there, because I was going to incorporate that.
Just the overwhelming theme that I got out of it was the importance of consistency.
Was everybody there? Was everybody there this morning? Oh, great, because I wanted to touch on that too. So your takeaway is consistency.
Yep, and I think Sherry said it best when she said,
Sherry Boyd.
I think it was Sherry Marson.
Oh, was it Marcia?
She said, you have to be consistent, and it changes week to week, day to day. So,
That's fascinating. What a great way to put it. Yeah.
Another thing I took out of it is you have to make this your job. You have to come in.
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
As a job.
Your business, yeah. She
Well-
said it's your job, but it's also your business.
And both Sherry and Kathy said, I show up every day dressed like I'm ready to do business. Because, and Kathy Johnson said, you never know who's gonna call you to want to list their $1 million home. And I
May not have to run home and change.
I can't run home and change. I need to be.
And she does
ready.
she dresses professionally every day. It's very impressive, yeah. Good point. Amanda, okay, what did you take away from it?
There was the Dress for Success part, but also Kathy Johnson had said to answer your phones and
Answer your phone.
just saying things that you hear all the time or you don't. Yeah, pick up your phone and return your calls.
Well, and then Sherry Marston touched on that, saying, don't make it more work than it is. So, just call people back, send that email, just, I got the impression of just don't let it backlog and pile up.
Carl, what did you take away?
Right there at the end, I think it was Kathy, it was the same comments, but in this, just be kind to people, be a good person, be a good professional business partner for the other side. Make sure you're getting back to them, you're replying to emails. And that kind of stuck with me because, as focused as we are on what do we do to make ourselves successful, I agree that a big part of it to make ourselves successful is make sure the other side is feeling successful too. And that you're not, it can't just be all for me.
That reminds me of years ago, a realtor who worked at Jack White. Every time she got in contract with another realtor, I swear to you, she thought it was time for war. And she would alienate everybody, and it was so not necessary. I mean, she horns and fangs came out all as long as she was in contract, and she
I think I know
alienated
who you're talking
everybody.
about.
Anyway,
Adversarial.
very adversarial, and there's just no point. In fact, part of our job, as far as I'm concerned, in addition to winning our clients over, is winning all the other players over, winning the other realtor over, so that things move smoothly. It's not a popularity contest, you're doing it for your client. If you
It could be worse, don't you think? It was
it used to be a lot
ugly,
worse, yeah.
more of an ugly business, I think is good. I agree, Carla.
I know.
And, I would tell new realtors, I'd say, you don't have to be ugly in this business to make a living. You don't have to be mean and,
Spiteful,
adversarial and
no.
spiteful to make a good living.
So if you don't, so this kind of raises an interesting question to me. Let's say hypothetically you were a giant jerk, and now could that cause the deal to fall apart? And then if that happens, clearly you would be responsible for that deal falling apart. Or for risk management wise, like do you go to the other broker and say, I'm sorry the deal fell apart because your licensee is just rude? Is that a thing?
Well, we're not encouraged, Carla can try to jump in here, we're not encouraged to go from licensee to broker. We're supposed to go.
No, exactly. That's where that was like key number one right there.
Are we?
Go to gate.
I don't know that you'd have to
Always,
let
always,
your
always.
customers know
Oh,
that
no.
they're dealing with an ugly side and the other.
That's fair.
I think initially you should,
That's our
but
room,
if the other side
Absolutely.
in unprofessionalism is making us look bad, then I think it's time to gently let our clients know. In fact, recently, that brings to mind, a client that Billy and I are working with, the seller client, we finally just had to say that the other realtor is a pesky gnat. That's about as rough as I had to get to help him understand that her pushing, which wasn't helping, was not, he didn't need to worry about it, it's just her way of doing things. She's not with Jack White, but she's just a pesky gnat. And he laughed, our seller laughed, but my concern was that he thought it was something we were doing, that we weren't doing correctly, or that we were dropping the ball, and I felt it was time to make sure that didn't go sideways for us. But I didn't have to rake her over the coals either. And in additional communication after that, where she's involved in the communication, I've been nothing but, business-like and professional, and I don't compliment her. Sometimes I compliment the other realtor with the client, in the email, that I've not done that. But I've also reflected that we're still keeping this at a very professional level. Anyway, yeah, broker to broker.
Sure.
But Carl, I think what we need to be careful about as we try to keep the other realtor on our side is that we don't at the same time give away our clients' secrets. Like, I think it's important, and we've had conversations about this on the team lately. The other realtor doesn't need to know that your client's in love with the house, right? You don't want to do that, because you just gave away about $5,000 when you said that. So you can keep things close to your chest and still win your home with professionalism. And today even I was complimentary. We wrote an offer on a property with another offer coming in the door, and the other realtor answers her phone when I call her. And I have thanked her for that. Just thank you so much for being available. You're doing your seller client a really good job. Wow, what's wrong with that, So it doesn't have to be adversarial. But it doesn't mean you give away your secrets either.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway today, Carla?
Of course, they all said consistency, but you have to have your systems in place to be able to have the plans and be consistent with it. Always touching people, because like, Larry said, in the downtimes, you're touching people, you'll end up being top of mind when the time comes, because you're the one that's been there the most. You're also proving that you're steady and strong, and you have a good business from that.
I remember years ago when I was just gotten back in the business here in Alaska, and I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't know anybody, and I felt like a baby agent all over again. It didn't matter that I already had 15 years of experience in Texas. That didn't matter. I knew nobody up here when I came back. And I went on a listing presentation on a high-end property with a very aggressive seller who I thought could probably eat me for lunch if she wanted to. She was that aggressive. In fact, she's a very aggressive loan originator today. But this was years ago, and I went on this listing presentation, and she was incredibly no-nonsense. I did my presentation. I was competing with 3 or 4 other realtors, and left not knowing if I had the business or not. Did the best I knew how to do at the time. And about 3 or 4 days went by, and I dreaded calling her. I just dreaded calling her. I assumed I didn't have the business because she didn't call me and say, "You got the listing." But she was so aggressive and fearful that I don't want to call and have her not only tell me no, I didn't want to hear hell no. So, but I called her anyway, because you have to call people back, and I should have called her the very next day. But I called her back. "Hi, this is Kathy Fernandez. Thank you again for letting me meet with you. And I was just checking back. I haven't heard from you. Have you made a decision about who you're going to choose to list your home and get it sold?" And she said, "Well, I guess I'll choose you." And I said, my standard is, "Thank you so much. Why did you choose me for your business?" She said, "Well, you're the only one that called me back."
Oh, wow.
I didn't win it. I just called her back.
What a learning.
But it was. Oh, it was. And even today, I don't.
It gave you some backbone too.
It did. And I don't typically use it for loan origination, but having said that, I've had 3 real estate transactions with her since. Once they finally make a move to sell or buy, they will call me usually. Is that